Let me introduce you to Sarah. That's not her real name, but it'll do. Sarah was 23 years old, living in a busy city called Austin, Texas. She had just graduated college with zero debt. Thanks to a scholarship, her parents still bragged about it every family dinner. She had a job offer from a tech company that was going to pay her more money than her dad made at 40. She had friends who actually showed up for her, a boyfriend who remembered her coffee order, and a little apartment with big windows that let in the morning sun. By all accounts, Sarah had won the lottery of life without even buying a ticket. But here's something nobody tells you about having everything. It doesn't make you careful. If anything, it makes you careless. You start to believe the rules don't apply to you. You stop looking over your shoulder. You leave your car unlocked, your apartment door open on hot summer nights, your whole life wide open for anyone to walk into. And that's exactly what happened. It was a Tuesday evening in September. Sarah had just gotten back from a run. She was wearing grey sweatpants and an old band t-shirt, hair in a messy bun, no makeup. She wasn't trying to impress anyone. She was just living her normal, boring, comfortable life. Around 7 p.m., someone knocked on her door. Now, most people have a rule about this, right? Don't open the door for strangers. But Sarah lived in a secured building with a buzzer system downstairs. So anyone who made it to her actual door, she figured, probably belonged there. That was her first mistake. She looked through the peephole. It was a woman, maybe mid-40s, holding a piece of paper. She looked normal. Kind of tired, kind of worried, but normal. Sarah opened the door. The woman said, "Hi, I'm so sorry to bother you. I'm your neighbor from 4B. I locked myself out and my phone's dead. Can I use yours really quick to call the super?" Reasonable, right? Happens all the time in apartment buildings. Sarah didn't think twice. She said, "Yeah, of course," and stepped aside to let the woman in. That's the moment everything changed. Because as soon as the woman stepped inside, she didn't go for the phone. She didn't even look at it. She just stood there, sort of smiling, and said, "You're really pretty, you know that." Sarah laughed, a little uncomfortable. "Thanks." Then the woman said something strange. She said, "My boss is going to be very happy with me." Sarah didn't understand. She asked, "What boss?" And the woman pulled out a small black object from her jacket pocket. Later, the police would call it a stun gun. At that moment, Sarah just knew it looked like something from a movie, and she felt her whole body go cold. Here's where most people freeze. And Sarah almost did. But something kicked in. She later said it felt like someone else took over her body. She didn't scream. She didn't run. She just looked the woman in the eye and said, "My boyfriend is in the shower." He wasn't. He was 30 minutes away at his own apartment. But the woman didn't know that. For 1 second, just 1 second, she glanced toward the bathroom door. That was all Sarah needed. She grabbed a glass vase off the little table by the door, the one her mom gave her as a housewarming gift, and smashed it right into the woman's face. Then she ran. Not to the bathroom. Not to the bedroom. Out the door, down 3 flights of stairs, and straight into the building's laundry room where she knew Mr. Henderson from 2A always smoked his evening cigar at 7:15. She found him there. She was shaking so bad she could barely talk. He called 911. By the time the police got to her apartment, the woman was gone. But here's where this story gets even wilder. The police ran the woman's description through their system. They found a match almost immediately. Her name was Carla. And Carla wasn't just some random stranger. She was part of a ring. A trafficking ring that operated in 3 different states. Their method was always the same. Send a woman to knock on doors, act helpless, gain trust, and then, well, you can guess the rest. Sarah had almost become another name on a list nobody wants to be on. But wait, there's more. Because when the police searched Carla's car, which was parked just around the corner from Sarah's building, they found something terrifying. A list. Names and addresses of 15 other women in Austin. Sarah's name was at the top. Below her were 14 others. All living alone, all in secured buildings, all with that same false sense of safety. The police started calling those women that same night. 3 of them had already let someone into their apartments in the past week. None of them had been taken yet. But all of them said the same thing. A woman knocked on my door needing help with a phone. Let that sink in. This wasn't a random crime of opportunity. This was organized, planned, targeted, and the only reason it failed with Sarah was because she lied about her boyfriend being in the shower. A 2-second lie saved her entire life. But here's the part of the story most people don't talk about. The part that happened after. Sarah didn't feel like a hero. She felt stupid. She spent weeks replaying that moment in her head, beating herself up for opening the door in the first place. She stopped sleeping. She stopped answering her phone. She moved out of that apartment within a month. Even though she loved those big windows and the morning sun, her boyfriend didn't know how to help her. Her friends tried, but they didn't get it. Everyone kept saying, "But you're okay." Nothing happened. And Sarah would just nod and smile, but inside she was screaming. Because something did happen. Her sense of safety, that invisible bubble we all walk around in, popped, and she couldn't blow it back up. She started seeing a therapist 6 months later. That therapist told her something interesting. He said, "Sarah, you didn't make a mistake. You survived. And survival isn't clean. It's messy. It's second-guessing yourself for years. But you're still here. That's the only thing that matters." Slowly, over time, she started to believe that. She even started talking about what happened. First to her mom, then to a small group of friends, then to a self-defense class for young women at the local community center. She didn't tell the story to scare people. She told it to wake them up. Because here's the truth. We all think bad things happen to other people. We watch the news, shake our heads, and say, "That's terrible," and then go back to our lives like we're invincible. But the people who knock on doors don't care if you're nice. They don't care if you have good grades, or a good job, or a boyfriend who remembers your coffee order. They care if you open the door. The real turning point in Sarah's story isn't when she smashed the vase. It's not even when the police caught Carla. The real turning point happened 1 year later. Sarah was at a coffee shop, and a young woman sat down next to her, crying. The woman said she'd just moved to the city and someone had followed her home. The night before. She didn't know what to do. She felt stupid for being scared. Sarah looked at her and said, "You're not stupid. You're smart for being scared. Now let me tell you what I learned." And she told her. Not the dramatic version. The real version. The one where she admitted she almost got herself taken because she was too polite to leave a stranger in the hallway. She told that young woman to never, ever open her door for someone she wasn't expecting. Not even if they look nice. Not even if they seem scared. Not even if they're crying. Call the super yourself. Call the police. Call a neighbor you know. But do not open that door. That moment, passing on what she learned, that's when Sarah stopped being a victim. That's when she became someone who took her worst nightmare and turned it into a warning for other people. And honestly, that's harder than smashing a vase. That takes real guts. So what's the point of all this? It's simple. Bad people count on you being nice. They count on you not wanting to be rude. They count on you thinking, it's just a knock. What's the worst that could happen? Well, now you know what's the worst that could happen. Sarah is fine now. She's 26. She has a new apartment on the 3rd floor with a peephole she uses every single time. And she still talks to groups of young women about that Tuesday night in September. She says the thing she wishes she knew back then is this. Your safety is more important than someone's feelings. You don't owe a stranger at your door your politeness. You owe them nothing. Lock your doors. Check your peephole. And if you didn't invite anyone over, don't open up. That's not being paranoid. That's being smart.